Maybe you picked up on it, maybe you haven't, but if you've been listening to the interviews, you know that lots of people come from a family of immigrants, some are immigrants themselves. And so there is this element of generational trauma, healing, understanding ancestry to kind of move forward in our lives. And I know that it was a game changer for me just like, I want to say a couple months ago that I kind of just really put all the pieces together because personally, I've always been really interested in history. I think that family is very important. I know for myself, it's really important to understand where I've come from, to understand who I am today and where I am going. And the more work that I do within spirituality and healing myself, the more evident that becomes in understanding our past to move forward. Some people don't like to look at their past. And I think it's really important that we don't dwell in the past, but who we are today is based on past versions of ourselves and based on our past, and specifically around family. So, a lot of our conditioning, our subconscious, our programming comes from childhood, and the things that we struggle with, they come from childhood. They come from those traumatic moments that we haven't processed, that at that time maybe we didn't have the tools, emotional capacity, mental capacity to understand and process them. And for myself, I know that a lot of my wounds, a lot of the things that I find challenging in my business were things I found challenging early on in my life. And one specifically for myself is money. I am still working on this, and I think I'll be working on this for my entire life, but I don't have a good relationship with money. Or rather, I am improving my relationship with money because for the longest time, I felt like it was something that was very distant and it was something difficult to come by. In my conscious mind, I'm like, oh, yeah, it is easy to make a lot of money effortlessly. But in my subconscious, it was not that. My subconscious thinks that I have to work really hard to make money, and owning my own business is not the easiest way to make money. And those beliefs stem from childhood. There are these phrases that my mom would say to me, that would really kind of paint my world and paint my understanding of the world to be that money is difficult to come by and that you really need to hustle. And if you have your own business, you're working all the time. You don't have vacations, you don't have weekends, but that really is just one perspective and one reality because you can construct your business with lots of downtime. And that's what I've done with Woo Woo Company. Really, from the start, I set the intention that it is going to be structured in a way that is nourishing for me. And so, yeah, have there been times that I've taken naps during the day? 100%. And now I realize that naps are a wonderful way to reset your energy and also to receive downloads, to clear the mind. So actually, napping is pretty helpful. But I still need to kind of wrangle the fact that sometimes my naps make me sleep later at night, which is not great. But that's another story. So this was something that I began to really understand for myself. And there are these phrases, that your parents will repeat to you, stories your parents will repeat to you. And some of those just didn't resonate with me anymore. And I realized so much of my limiting beliefs and things that I don't resonate with come from my mother and how my mother raised me. And it took me a long time to kind of feel okay with it and to feel compassion and kindness rather than resentment and anger in terms of like, oh, why does she teach me these things? I don't want this. This is not healthy. It's because this is something that's carried down from past generations. And this is the only way that she knew about money, about other things in life, about hard work, about owning a business, and all these different things. And so it goes back to the way that she was raised and her parents were raised, and more importantly, around money. I realized there's also this fear around getting money and then losing it, like having the rug pulled out from underneath you, and that when things are going good, how can they continue being good? Like they could turn at any moment. And I always had that feeling. And like that was kind of like running in the back of my mind. And I decided that I didn't want this narrative anymore and that I would change it. But it has always felt kind of like a back and forth, up and down, and some days better than others. And I realized, and this was like this like really it was a game changer when I found this out and realized this a couple months ago, is that this was something that my grandparents and my parents experienced in their lifetimes, and they did not have the emotional mental capacity to really kind of process it and understand and kind of move away from it and know that that did happen, but doesn't mean that it's going to happen again. Because you know we were able to make money from manufacturing, textiles, business, and then it was taken away by the government during the Cultural Revolution in China. And so, and you were ridiculed, you were beaten, you were verbally abused when it came to being, academics, being business people, being part of the quote unquote elite, the bourgeoisie. And it was bad to make a lot of money. It was bad to be different. It was bad to be smart. It was bad to be seen. And so I noticed that these are recurring themes and challenges that I face in my business. I mean, when I first started my business, I was hiding behind it. I was really scared to make myself kind of be the spokesperson, the main show, the main product, which I am now. And it was something that I learned in the first like year and a half of the business, that I'm actually meant to shine, and that this business is going to help me heal this wound of being afraid of being seen, and thinking that, oh, if I'm different, then I won't belong and I won't be accepted. And that was like conditioning from my own childhood, from my own childhood experiences of not feeling like I fit in, not being white, and just being Asian, being different, albeit, in a very diverse school district and community, but didn't really feel that way because, you knew that what was cool was white. And that was what we saw, not only in real life, but also in media and entertainment. Side note again, I'll repeat it. So important to make sure that what you're watching, what you're consuming really serves your highest good and is nourishing to you. And if not, kind of course direct and find a way that really allows you to see yourself in all that you consume. So these are things that I've been working through, that I've been understanding, processing these last few weeks, these last few months, about generational trauma, about ancestral trauma, about what gets carried down and what you don't need to have carried down. And the first part really is about awareness and understanding, oh, I don't want to feel this way, and really looking and investigating, being curious first and foremost of where it comes from and whether or not you identify it or even want to identify it, because your mindset is everything. You always have a choice. The only thing you have control of is how you view the world, what you think, and how you perceive things. And so if you don't like your money mindset, if you don't like your beliefs around owning a business, or how much money that you can make, or what you can achieve in this life, your skills, your abilities, your talents, it is up to you to change it. I actually watched a movie last night on Netflix. It's like a really, really old movie from the late 90s called Gattaca. And it was really a story about someone rising beyond what was expected of them, even from a genetic sense. And just because you have all things going from you genetically doesn't mean that it will play out the same in actual reality. And what is most important is grit, your confidence, your belief in yourself, and perseverance, resilience, all of those things. And you have to remember that you are more powerful than you think, that you can change the narrative, and that it's a choice that you can make. I think for the longest time that I was just like, oh, like this is like who I am. Like, why is it always like this? Like, why don't I have a better relationship with money? And then one day I just realized it's my choice. I can choose how I relate to money and really everything. And it really starts in the mind and then spreads out to anything and everything in your life. So, this is an invitation for you to chat with your parents, to do some research, some Googling on your heritage, on where you come from, and to maybe sit with yourself and journal like, what are some of those hard moments in childhood that really have shaped who you are today? And recreate a narrative, a story for yourself, writing it down and saying, this is what happened to me when I did X, Y, and Z, but I want to change that story. So I'm going to rewrite that story for myself. Oftentimes, we don't realize that the mindsets that we have, the basic operating system that we're running our lives on, is really old and outdated and doesn't match what we want to create in the world. So if you want to make big changes in your life, whether it's business, whether it's personal, career, love life, friendship, community, it really all starts in the mind. And you have to examine your thoughts, you have to examine your beliefs and understand, like, are they supporting what I want to create? I also have a link in the show notes for this amazing reprogramming your mindset workshop I did specifically for AAPI entrepreneurs. So please check it out. It's about 75 minutes. There's so many great pieces of wisdom, insights, tools that have really helped me. And by sharing my story, I know that it will unlock something within you. I mean, just during this episode alone, it's caused you to maybe think in different ways, to process stuff that you don't even remember, that you've like, oh, I totally forgot about this, or I buried it deep away, or, oh, wow, this is where it comes from. I had no idea. Or really just sometimes I feel like the dots are just next to each other for so long, like dancing around each other. And then one day they're connected and it just all clicks in your mind. Alignment comes through and you embody that knowledge and it becomes wisdom within you. So check out that workshop. It's in the show notes. And then, of course, if you want to work with me one on one, I have this program called Mindset Reset, which is really great if you really want to sharpen your mind, reshape the stories you tell yourself, give yourself a brand new operating system so you can really create the life that you deserve and that you're worthy of. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think. Find me on Instagram, WOOWOOCO.